There is a liquid that costs $8 at any hardware store that converts rust back into metal. Not covers it temporarily, converts it. Those orange bubble rust spots spreading across your door edges, the brown corrosion eating through your fender panels, the structural decay that body shops use to justify charging $500 to cut out the damaged section and weld in new metal. One application of this chemical formula transforms iron oxide back into stable iron phosphate at the molecular level and stops rust permanently. Professional body shops charge nothing to explain this because explaining it would eliminate their most profitable repair category. A bottle of rust converter sitting on the hardware shelf for $8 cannot justify panel replacement recommendations, welding labor, and paint matching fees totaling $1,200. This is the story of the phosphoric acid compound that reverses corrosion and the body shop industry that built fortunes on cutting metal instead of saving it. Welcome to my channel. If you are not subscribed yet, hit subscribe and the bell. This is where we expose what the automotive repair industry spent decades burying. Now here is where this chemistry was discovered. In 1906, a German metallurgist named Hans Goldschmidt was researching corrosion prevention methods for the Imperial German Navy. Warships operating in saltwater environments experienced catastrophic rust damage that compromised hull integrity within months of deployment. Traditional approaches involved scraping rust mechanically and applying protective coatings, but corrosion always returned underneath the paint layer. Goldschmidt experimented with phosphoric acid solutions applied directly to rusted steel plates. He discovered something remarkable. When phosphoric acid contacts iron oxide, a chemical reaction occurs that converts the rust into iron phosphate, a stable black compound that bonds permanently to the underlying metal. The reaction was elegantly simple. Rust is iron oxide, formed when iron atoms react with oxygen and water. This oxidation process is destructive because iron oxide is porous and flaky, allowing oxygen and moisture to penetrate deeper into the metal continuously. But when phosphoric acid reacts with iron oxide, it creates iron phosphate, a dense crystalline structure that is hydrophobic and corrosion resistant. The iron phosphate layer seals the metal surface, preventing further oxygen contact. Rust stops spreading immediately because the chemical conditions required for oxidation no longer exist. The German Navy adopted phosphoric acid rust treatment across their entire fleet by 1912. Warships that previously required hull replacement every 3 years were operating for over a decade with minimal maintenance. The chemistry was published in European metallurgy journals throughout the 1920s and 1930s. American steel manufacturers adopted similar rust conversion processes for structural applications during World War II. But the automotive body repair industry took a completely different path. The science behind rust conversion is documented in chemistry textbooks since the early 1900s. Iron oxide exists in multiple forms, but the most common automotive rust is ferric oxide, the reddish-brown flaky material everyone recognizes. When phosphoric acid contacts ferric oxide, it donates hydrogen ions that break the iron-oxygen bonds. The freed iron atoms then bond with phosphate groups from the acid, forming iron phosphate. This compound appears black or dark gray and has a density approximately 3 times greater than iron oxide. The conversion process is self-limiting. Once all available iron oxide converts to iron phosphate, the reaction stops automatically. Excess acid can be rinsed away, leaving only the protective phosphate coating bonded to the base metal. Modern rust converter products contain phosphoric acid concentrations between 20 and 40%, diluted in water with polymer additives that help the solution penetrate porous rust and adhere during the conversion process. The application is straightforward. Brush or spray the converter onto rusted metal. The liquid reacts immediately, turning rust from orange-brown to black within 20 to 30 minutes. After 24 hours, the conversion is complete. The treated surface can be painted directly without additional priming because iron phosphate provides excellent paint adhesion. A 2015 study conducted by the Fraunhofer Institute for Manufacturing Technology in Germany tested rust converter effectiveness on automotive body panels with varying degrees of corrosion. Researchers collected 60 door panels from vehicles showing Stage 1 through Stage 3 rust damage. Stage 1 rust appears as surface discoloration. Stage 2 shows bubble formation under paint. Stage 3 exhibits holes and structural perforation. They applied phosphoric acid rust converter to half the panels and left the other half untreated as controls. After 36 months of accelerated weathering equivalent to 10 years of outdoor exposure, the treated panels showed 0 rust progression. The iron phosphate coating remained intact with no measurable corrosion beneath the converted layer. Untreated panels continued deteriorating, with Stage 1 progressing to Stage 2 and Stage 2 progressing to complete perforation. The automotive body repair industry generates over $48 billion annually in the United States. Rust repair accounts for approximately 15% of that revenue, concentrated heavily in northern states with winter road salt exposure. Body shops recommend panel replacement as the default solution for any visible rust. A typical door rust repair involves cutting out the corroded section, welding in new metal, grinding the weld smooth, applying primer and paint, and blending the finish to match surrounding panels. The labor time ranges from 8 to 16 hours depending on rust severity. Parts and materials cost $8,200. Labor charges at $115 per hour bring total costs between $800 and $2,400 per panel. If vehicle owners understood that an $8 bottle of rust converter permanently stops corrosion in existing rust and prevents spread without cutting metal, the panel replacement business collapses. You cannot patent phosphoric acid. You cannot create a subscription service around a one-time chemical application. You cannot justify $1,500 in labor charges for a process requiring 30 minutes and a paintbrush. Body shops responded exactly as threatened industries always respond. They never mention rust conversion as an option. Estimate forms list panel replacement, welding, and refinishing. When customers ask about cheaper alternatives, advisors warn that surface treatments are temporary and that rust will return worse than before. They emphasize structural integrity concerns and suggest that any rust indicates compromised metal requiring replacement. The goal is creating fear that discourages chemical treatment and drives customers toward expensive fabrication work. Here is what they will never tell you. Rust conversion works on any rust that has not perforated completely through the metal. If you can see base metal underneath the rust, conversion will save it. Only rust holes extending through the entire panel thickness require welding. Everything else responds to phosphoric acid treatment. Locate the rusted area. Use a wire brush or coarse sandpaper to remove loose flaky rust. You are not removing all rust, just the loose material that prevents converter contact with solid rust underneath. Wipe the area clean with a dry cloth. Buy a bottle of rust converter from any hardware store. Brands like Corrosion, Rust-Oleum Rust Reformer, and Permatex Rust Treatment all contain phosphoric acid as the active ingredient. The bottle costs between $8 and $15 depending on size. Apply the converter generously with a disposable brush, covering all visible rust completely. The liquid will foam slightly as it reacts. Let it sit undisturbed for 30 minutes. The rust will begin darkening from orange-brown to black. After 24 hours, the conversion is complete. The surface will appear uniformly black with a slightly rough texture. This is iron phosphate. It is stable, waterproof, and corrosion-resistant. If you plan to paint the area, apply converter and wait 48 hours for full curing. The iron phosphate surface accepts paint directly. Apply automotive primer, then spray paint to match your vehicle color. The repair is permanent. Rust will not return beneath the phosphate coating because the chemical conditions for iron oxidation no longer exist. A mechanic in Michigan documented this process on a 1998 Jeep Cherokee with severe rocker panel rust. The body shop quoted $1,400 to replace both rocker panels, including welding and paint. He applied rust converter instead, filming the entire procedure. The rust converted to stable black iron phosphate. He primed and painted over the treated areas. 4 years and 3 harsh Michigan winters later, he posted an update. 0 rust had returned. The rocker panels remained solid with no new corrosion. Knowledge like this does not disappear because it stops working. It disappears because it stops generating profit. Subscribe and share this with every driver still paying body shops hundreds for what chemistry solves.